Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. All backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
Grab your big book, your pen, your highlighter, and notepad and get ready to hear and apply some of the solution from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous through the experience, strength, and hope of Nikki M. To have a question addressed in a future episode of Noodle It Out with Nikki, please send an email to noodlewithnikki@gmail.com, and Nikki is spelled with 2 Ks. To get a more interactive experience with Nikki as she noodles out life and recovery questions using the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, you can get a link to her weekly Noodle It Out with Nikki meeting held live on Zoom every Monday morning at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. The information to that meeting is in the show notes of this podcast. God morning, God afternoon, God evening to all. I'm Justin B. I'm a son of an all-powerful and perfectly loving God and a qualifying addict of multiple fellowships, living in the miracle of recovery. And I'm here with the intelligent agent, spearhead of God's ever-advancing creation, and my co-host, Nikki M. It's been about a month since the last time we got together because you've been out partying in the Caribbean or whatever you've been doing. So, Nikki, catch us up. What's going on?
Well, partying is a great word. Partying with God and nature, of course. I was in Dominica, which is in the Eastern Caribbean, in between Martinique and Guadeloupe. That's my island. And, I went through a lot of ups and downs, Justin. My father lives there, and I didn't see him this trip. And I made that conscious decision to do that. And I realized in our big book, it says, sometimes you have to start life anew. And we are in a spirit world. And I was like, maybe this round, I'm not angry, no resentments here. And then, of course, I had to call my mom one day. And as I was calling my mom, the vet, you can't, God is real, everybody. As Justin, you need to hear this. As I was calling my mom, the vet was here putting my beautiful dog, Toby, down. And my mom had to make that hard decision. Toby had a collapsed trachea, everybody out there, vet people. And he's only 3 or 4 pounds. So he had a good 12 years. So that's devastating to come home to. And partying, well, we did a lot of fighting. I was with Mr. Luxembourg. And I have a problem when someone takes my inventory. The book says, do not retaliate. Well, wow. Fire and brimstone comes out of me. So, but I'm back, and Mr. Luxembourg's sleeping while we're recording. So, you know what? It's been a lot of growth, and I'm really focusing on where to grow in understanding and effectiveness. And I hope that's what we're going to do here today. I just love you. Thank you for holding this space. And please, people out there, please send your 7th in. We want to keep Rico 12 going, Noodle podcast. And as I was thinking about it, Justin, in bed this morning, we're almost at the table, I think 3 years. This might be episode 150 something. And that means almost 3 years we've been here. So please donate, everybody. That was a long, how are you doing, Nikki?
Yeah, well, happy to get caught up a little bit. It's been a while since we last had this conversation, and I'm excited to get back into it. And lots changed in my life, too, in the last month. I'm now, quote unquote, gainfully employed in the world, and it's really stretched me with my schedule and all sorts of things. God is stretching me into places where I never dreamed I would be. So that's good, and it's scary all at the same time. So once again, thank you, Nikki, for bringing that up. If you out there in the listening audience if your higher power is just poking at you saying, hey, donate something to Rico 12, do it. we're happy to receive that. You can do that at rico12.com/support, or you can find the links in the show notes of this podcast. So, what we do here in the Noodle It Out with Nikki podcast is we bring questions to the big book. And Nikki takes us through the big book there. Line by line with her energy, her knowledge, and her passion for the big book and for the solution. And we find solution to questions that come to us from all over the place. And in fact, today we've got one that was emailed to us over the last month. And I'm going to go ahead and just read this question. It's about resentment. And Nikki, I've posted it in the chat, so you have access to it also. All right. I have a question about resentment. I've been working with a sponsee for a few months, and sometimes she shares a resentment toward me in her 10th step. We talked about it before, and she realized a lot of it came from stories she was telling herself that weren't true, and she was able to let it go. Lately, it has started happening again. When I give feedback or guide her the way my sponsor guides me, she often writes more 10th steps about me and wants to talk about them. I'm not sure that to keep having those conversations is helpful. I was wondering, how do you deal with sponsees who keep having resentments towards you? So, Nikki, I have some things to share here, but I want to hear your take and look at what the big book says here.
Oh, I am so glad everybody. I sound like a man. I'm not drinking coffee anymore, and I've been using my voice so much. So apologies, everyone. I am a female, and I have to laugh, Justin, because what do you do with a sponsee who keeps having resentments towards you? Exactly what I said about my dad. Let's just turn there. Page 114. Let's go there. Here it is. Page 114. This is a great question, Justin. When we came on, everybody asked me, what should we start with? And I was like, well, there's some topics. And I said, well, why don't we start first with this question? And thank God we did, because this is comedy hour. Page 114, it's the second paragraph from the bottom. But sometimes you sponsee must start life anew. Okay, why? You yourself said it. Turn back to page 102. Your job is to be at the place where you may be of maximum helpfulness. You're not helpful to her anymore. Think about that right now. Let's just all pause. Your work is done. Because see what it says on page 25, and this is what you did, it sounds like. And thank you, person who wrote in, for participating in this podcast, for participating in your life and your recovery, because you are following the directions. The undiluted message is what I hear from you. It says, page 25, when therefore we were approached by those in whom the problem had been solved. That's you, madam or sir. I don't know who wrote in. You approached someone because the problem had been solved in you. And there was nothing left for us, that was your sponsee, but to pick up the simple. This is simple. Let me just circle. I haven't highlighted in my book, but I want to circle that word right now. Simple kit of spiritual tools laid at your feet. So you laid at her feet the kit of spiritual tools. That was your job, page 102, to be of maximum helpfulness. Now she is collecting resentments. It's not helpful. If you need some clear perception, I know Justin, when he comes in, will say the same thing. It is not helpful to keep having those conversations with her. Why? She's fallen back asleep. She forgets that resentments, page 66, let's go there. Let's go to page 66. She's fallen asleep. Remember, in the doctor's opinion, we read, she cannot differentiate the true from the false. And this is a daily reprieve. So, let's read this first, and I'll just give a little experience, strength, and hope, and have you come in, Justin. This is all God's hand. Justin, we prayed ourselves in and we said, God, use us. And this is crazy, because I've been having resentments towards the neighbors. And I told you yesterday we had our first little court date. And you know what? After that, I prayed for a good judge. He was so kind. And I realized I have to start loving on my neighbors. Now, we're on page 66, but I'll give a little footnote that on page 153, it says, we will learn the true meaning of love your neighbor as yourself. I mean, this is your sponsor and sponsee. stretched out your hand to help her, and she has a resentment. So let's read it on page 66. And I need to know this. I have a resentment daily, with everybody and everything. Life is really happening. It's really happening, Justin. You know that. It is plain that a life which includes deep resentments, and my line out, Justin, says, including fear, resentments and fear, we do inventories on them daily, leads only to futility and unhappiness. My line out says, I will die. It's futile. To the precise extent that we permit these. So your sponsee's permitting this resentment on you. You are now starting to get irritated. You're getting the rids, the restless, irritable, and discontented with her. You're getting a resentment with her. That you permit this. You're squandering the hours, comma, I'm going to put line out here, the days, the weeks, the months, and the years that might have been worthwhile. Like I squandered a lot of hours when I was away, not partying with my boyfriend, being angry, having a resentment at him. It's crazy where my mind goes when I'm not in this work daily as I look back. But with the addict, that's all of us on this program right now. You may have not had a drink. Remember, I want to remind the crowd, Justin's fellowship here. Justin's never had alcohol in his body, and he squanders a lot of time that might have been worthwhile. But with the addict, whose hope is the maintenance and growth, and isn't that what I said? I want to grow in effectiveness and understanding. See, God's using us right now here. Of a spiritual experience, my line out says every day, this business of resentments, Nikki, I'm talking to self right now. Thank you, person who wrote in, because I'm carrying resentments. It's infinitely grave. Line out, I will die. We found that it's fatal. I will die. And listen, sponsor, if you allow your sponsee to stew in this, she or he will die also. For when harboring such feelings, fake news, it's all fake news. Everything's happening the way God wants it to in this moment. Nikki, your sponsee, and yourself, my friend, and Justin, we shut ourselves off from the sunlight of the Spirit. My line out, when I shut myself off from the sunlight of the Spirit, I die. The insanity of thinking, the insanity of controlling, of martyring, managing, manipulating, of self, the insanity of selfishness returns. And I think again. TH over the DR, everybody. I think again. And with us to think anything but a God thought, anything but the big book. Nothing happens in God's world by mistake. Everything's the way it's supposed to be. God wants me happy, joyous, and free. I've tapped a source of power. I remember who I am. Anything other than a God thought or a big book thought, I will die. My friend, let's hear from you.
Yeah, thank you, Nikki. And I love how you took us there. And my initial thought was, and my experiences with my first sponsor, I had massive resentments against him. He was all over my when I did my step 4 and 5. He was, and I thought as I was reading my step 5 to him, I'll show you, I'll show you just what a jerk you are and how much I despise you. And when I read my 5th step to him, he just laughed. And he said, I'm glad that you are changing. I'm glad that you're seeing these things. And here's where I want to go with this. When, as a sponsee, when I'm going through these steps, a lot of things have to be changing in my life. And oftentimes they're painful. It's painful to get pruned back, to get burned to the ground. The old self that was just caused all sorts of chaos in my life and in the lives of those around me had to change. And that's painful. And sometimes it really hurts when a sponsor says, dude, you got to change. Here's what I see, and points out these things that have got to be pruned back and cut back. And that, to me, when that happens and when I'm walking the path of recovery can I can choose to get upset about it and get the rids, the restlessness, irritability, discontentedness. Hey, look all the things I'm doing. How come that's not enough? I don't want that branch to be taken off of me again too.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
That hurts when you say, hey, Justin, and hold that mirror up to me and say, hey, look at that. There's another defective character right there that you haven't seen. I'm pointing it out to you, and that can get me resentful. So I think in truth, when I as a sponsee get things shown to me, and even now as a sponsor, when I have a sponsee show a mirror to me that and be like, hey, Justin, have you ever thought about this? You're being a little bit controlling. I can feel that resentment coming up. But as I analyze it, as I 10th step it, as I go through it, and even share it with that person, I can move through it. Does that make sense, Nikki? What are your thoughts as I share that?
Absolutely. And you said a key word there, and I love the emoji, and we all need to make that on our favorites. The mirror emoji. We are all mirroring each other here. And, I know what you mean because you know my sponsor very well who took me through the steps, Cameron F. Do you know how many resentments I've had at this guy? And go deeper. He lives directly across the street from me. His wife is my harp teacher, and they're my neighbors for 20 years. Like this, you can't write this. This is like God's hand is all over this. And so when I was on vacation, losing my mind, everybody, do you think I even called or messaged Cameron? That's a big F no. I picked up the phone and called always these two people first and foremost, usually is Catherine F. I don't know if she's been on, but we got to get her on. And I think Sarma's done a podcast here. She's on the Noodle. And Catherine didn't answer. And Sarma right away, she just bends me over and shoves the big book right where the sun don't shine. She won't hear it. She won't mess with it. She just speaks big book. So I'm wondering if you have a big book in between you. Let's all talk about the 10th step, because we have a friend that we do a line by line. And I listened to our podcast this morning, Justin. It was really good. Like that line, it's David G. We're great, but he's just awesome. And the step 10, everybody, is not a nightly review. You do this all through the day. So as Justin knows, and maybe he can speak on it when I'm quiet here, about being in a step 10 group chat. Here it is. What do you do? Let me go back to the question here. I was wondering, how do you deal with sponsees who keep having resentments to your yes, or go deeper, who are sending me daily step 10s? I don't look at them. I don't do that. I don't teach the steps that way. I teach it as a we program, not me. I lay out the spiritual toolkit, and I will commence shoulder to shoulder, says page 151. We commence shoulder to shoulder our common journey. There is no sponsor, sponsee, no hierarchy. So join a group, because the way I teach the steps, of course, is that if you're one of them, you're all of them. My book says I'm always to blame. A step 10 is steps 1 through 9. I got to say, I can't do life. I have to believe in a power. I need to make an instant decision that God is in charge. A fearless and searching moral inventory is I'm always at fault. I'm always to blame. I'm in self, which means I'm greedy, lustful, just plain ignorant. And you can go down the list. Nothing new. And your sponsors heard your inventory, your 4 steps. So there's nothing new to tell. And then I tell somebody, doesn't say call your sponsor. It says you talk to the right person, which is a step 10 group, and someone with a big book between you. What does the book say? That's all I want to hear. And so then you be willing to stop doing what you're doing, which is blaming other people. I have to stop. I have to be willing. Here it is, Justin. I want to say it here, is I have to stop even having a negative thought about the neighbors and start truly loving on them, knowing that they're sick people just like me. And then I need to get humble, step 7. And I need to stop doing the things I want to do. Like I could have danced and screamed yesterday because their little thing they wanted was denied. I was real quiet, got real humble, and realized, Nikki, you need to love on these people. They're sick. They're pushing for things that even the judge doesn't see as fair. So, and then more gets revealed, page 164. And then go deeper here. Step 8. My list is everybody. I've harmed everybody because we're in the mirror. We're in the spirit world. We're here to sharpen our soul. Iron sharpens iron. And then 9 is changed behavior, not words. And then you get into your group, and I'm not even in a step 10 group, and I've never given a step 10 because it's just part of my working mind right now. I shouldn't say never. At the beginning, I had to do all of these little things, but now it's page 87. And then you can, Justin, talk about the step 10 more because you probably do it. I don't work a perfect program, and God says that's what the book says I'm not supposed to. I don't know where I was going to. Go on, Justin. I was flipping somewhere.
Yeah, you're going to page 87 with that.
Oh, I was. Let's just read it here. Thank you, my friend. And this is why it's a we, not me program. Can you imagine if I'm like, hold on, Justin, let me call my sponsor. Here it is. It's the top of my page 87. Everyone write it. Practice and patience. Practice and patience. This is what this is all about. We're practicing the spiritual principles daily, and we need to be patient because 14 years later, I don't know. I just literally, it's a daily reprieve. I can't believe some of the things I said and did when I was away and what I do every day. What used to be the hunch or the occasional inspiration gradually, see, this takes time. Circle the word gradually, becomes a working part of the mind, line out, second nature. That's an 11-step promise. Being still in experience and having just made conscious contact with this power. I just made conscious contact with being responsible, Justin, with being loving, with being forgiving, with being kind. And I'm pretty good at it with a lot of people, but with the people close to me, it's a real hard blind spot. It's not probable that Nikki is going to be inspired, kind, loving, tolerant at all times. We, Nikki and Justin, might pay for this presumption in all sorts of absurd actions and ideas. My line out says, acting out, obsessive thinking, comparing. See, I need to see my book. I didn't bring it with me. I was comparing a lot on my vacation, looking at other couples and going, oh my God, Mr. Luxembourg needs to shave his beard. I can't even find his lips to kiss him. And then it says here, nevertheless, I find right now, and I know Justin does, my thinking, because that leads to my actions. As time passes, this is not an overnight matter. Remember, the big book repeats itself. Be more and more on a plane of inspiration, meaning I will be inspired. And that took me 3 years and a court date to really get that feeling, Justin, that I can't be angry at these people. I really have to trust the process. They're young, they're sick. It took 2 couples to buy a house in downtown Toronto. My mortgage is paid off. You understand? I have to be compassionate and just relax and take it easy. We do not struggle. Come in and talk about the step 10, please.
Yeah. So, Nikki, you mentioned this. David G introduced me to this concept of a 10th step group, like a WhatsApp group or a group me group, whatever, where, well, here's how it works in my recovery. I have invited a bunch of my sponsees, old and new, and everybody I start working with. I say, okay, this is basically day 1. You're going to start working your step 10. And also their sponsees. So this is a group of, I don't know, right now, 25 guys. It's probably about as big as it needs to be. But whenever somebody spots selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, or fear, we go through that process and thumb in the group. I spotted selfishness. It's not about telling stories. It's not about feedback. There is no feedback in those groups. It's just I post spotted selfishness. I paused. I asked God to remove them. And now I'm turning my thoughts to someone I can help. And the biggest thing in the 10th step, in my experience, is that turning my thoughts to someone I can help. I spot it. I name it. I make it so it's not a secret. Now in that group, do I even look at that group more than once or twice a day? No, but I know that somebody has put something in there, and I know that I've put something in there and somebody has seen it. It's no longer a secret. Now, if it keeps coming back, here's my process. If that resentment, that fear, that selfishness, that dishonesty keeps being noisy, thumbing it out. Okay, I've done that a few times. I've posted it in the chat a few times. It's time to pick up the phone and talk to somebody at that point. I need to get it verbally out there because this one, for whatever reason, is sticky. And once I talk to somebody about it and continue to turn my thoughts to someone I can help, it works every single time. Whether it's for 30 seconds or 30 days, it works every single time. It's miraculous. So that's my take on these 10-step groups. And one last thought on the resentment towards sponsor. Especially early on in my sponsoring career, if I wasn't on someone's fourth and fifth step, I felt like I'm not doing my job. I need to make sure that I'm stretching people, pushing people the way that I feel God wants me to stretch and push them so that they go, oh, Justin's kind of a jerk, or Justin has expectations of this process that aren't realistic for me, and put it on that. I no longer wear that as a badge of honor, but it doesn't offend me if I'm on somebody's 10th step or 4th, 5th step. So, Nikki, any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Okay, a few. So here it is. Do you know how much hate mail I get? Do you know how many people mail me? Some of you love me off, but I get a lot of like, you're killing people, Nikki. You're crazy. You shouldn't be in the rooms. You're going to kill people with that message. How dare you, says Greta. And I get a lot of crazy stuff. And you know what it is? That has been the yeast to my bread. So when someone I really love and care about says it, it is like water off a duck's back. And it does roll off me because this is the training ground, everybody. We're soldiers of God, a God that you choose. We're soldiers of being responsible, of demonstrating these principles in all our affairs. Justin, you said too, the Step 10 group, you said it works. It really does. And so that's on page 88. Like, see, I can hear a word and it's like, yeah, that's Justin. The big book is gradually becoming a working part of his mind. It works. It really does. Like in court yesterday, I said, I'm sorry, Your Honor, I wasn't armed with all the facts. That went further than I didn't know. We get smarter here. We get prettier here. We get kinder here. We get more patient here. All these great things happen. So let's just read this too, because we're on page 88. So it works. It really does. We addicts are undisciplined. So we let God, we let the spiritual principles, we let the fruit of the Spirit discipline us in the simple way that we have just outlined. But this is not all. There is action, more action. Faith without works is dead, but there's another sentence in there, Justin. Faith works. The next chapter is entirely devoted to what you're talking about, my friend who wrote in, sponsoring, working with others. God, I love this group. I love you, Justin, and I'm grateful.
Thank you, Nikki, and thank you to the person who wrote this question in. It was really good to reflect on this and to discuss it with Nikki, and hopefully it's been beneficial to you and to many others who will listen to this. A reminder to anybody else who has a question or recovery-related question that you'd like to dive through the big book with, send us an email at noodlewithnikki@gmail.com. That's noodlewithnikki, Nikki, at gmail.com, and we will get to that question and address it. Everybody, as we go through this process here and dive deep into the big book, going through and finding the solution, it's really cool and crazy how the solution to really any question can be found in the big book. And thank you, Nikki, for helping us do that. Everybody, let's keep coming back. Let's stay in the places that work. Let's turn our thoughts to someone we can help because, well, in my experience, that is the solution. Getting outside of this selfish me, and going out there to turn my thoughts to someone else I can help. And let's do this together. Work it. You are worth it.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.